everybody. This is Wynn. Welcome to the podcast this week. I'm really excited to share with you this week's subject because we're going to talk about working with distressed property owners. And I've been working with distressed property owners for a long time, and it has been very, very fruitful, very, very profitable, and very, very rewarding, right? Because yes, I've made a lot of income or profits, but I've also created a win-win situation with many of the property owners where they walked away with a lot of money too. So I'm going to go over that in this episode. Stick around for the end. If you like this, share it with somebody else, and let's try to do some deals together this year. So the first thing I'd like to address is why work with distressed property owners if it's not already obvious to you, because they're in distress, right? So people that are in distress are going through different types of situations. It could be foreclosure. They can no longer afford to make the mortgage payments. For many people, they can no longer even afford to pay the property taxes, even if they don't have a mortgage. And this is one area that we've become really good at over the last few years. Another area that we like to work with is people in probate. People have passed away and the heirs are dealing with the property. Code violations is a big one. People are dealing with the city, evictions. Sometimes people are really not meant to be landlords. If you've ever done landlording, like I have, it's not always rewarding. Yeah, there's many times when people pay as agreed and they don't destroy the property. That's the ideal situation, but that's not reality, right? If you own enough rental properties, just like when we lend money, if you lend enough money, you're going to get people that don't pay you back. So we like working with these types of property owners because we've been able to come up with win-win solutions. The other reason is when people are in distress, they're much more likely to sell the property, right? They have to admit to themselves that they can no longer afford it. And if there's any equity left, this is a time for you to come up with a win-win solution, right? Where they can get some money while they're leaving the property and move on and start another chapter in their lives. And that's the discussion that I have with them often is, let us help you, let us get some money in your pocket, and you can get on and start a new chapter. Many times people have been in these properties a very long time, and the properties they have a lot of deferred maintenance. They might have, well, all kinds of deferred maintenance, from the roof to the basement, to the water, to the utilities, the mechanics, right? There's all kinds of reasons. And that stuff has just been delayed. They put Band-Aids over it. And the house really needs to be updated most of the time. So the second thing I'd like to talk about is how to work with these people. I have to remind myself often that I have to, talk slowly and be empathetic, right? You have to be able to put yourself in their shoes when you're speaking with them. It's not just about, hey, sell me your house. I want to make some money. Here, take $5,000, walk away. Maybe that was my mindset 25 years ago when I was a young buck. But really today, I'm really looking for win-win situations. And I'm going to share that at the end of this video about how we created an awesome win-win opportunity for these people. When we approach them with empathy, whether it's our communications to them, leaving them messages, sending them direct mail, we're trying to not come across as fast-talking salespeople that just want to strip them of their equity and take their properties. And if you can use that in your approach to talking with people, I think it will help you go a long way. It's helped us a long way. So let's talk about creative deal structures. Because we have a private lending business that we start with, and as well as investing in real estate, we offer more solutions than a typical wholesaler, real estate investor, distressed property owner. So when we call people, we offer them 3 solutions, and they go like this. If they do not live in the property and they have plenty of equity, we will offer them a loan. And we'll give them a short-term loan so they can pay off their mortgage or property taxes, providing that the loan-to-value is conservative and within our risk target area. And we'll give them a short-term loan for them to get back on their feet. Maybe they can go down, maybe they need the extra time to get a traditional refinance. If their credit's not good, maybe they can put one of their relatives on or friends onto the title so they can qualify for the loan. So that's solution number one. Solution number two is sometimes people just want to get rid of the property. They're done dealing with the deferred maintenance, they're done dealing with the city, they're done dealing with the county, they're just done, whether they own it or they're the heirs. So oftentimes we've had people to say, yeah, you can have the property, and we do a cash for keys solution. We basically give them an agreeable amount. We call it walking away money, and maybe it's $5, $10, $15, $20,000. We take over the existing debt, taxes, problems, and we only do this if we're able to, we know that we're going to be able to sell the property for a profit. And as long as we built that into our calculator and calculations when we're making our offer, we've been able to do this very successfully, and it's a win-win situation. The last solution is probably the most creative, and we call it our joint venture LLC deal. People are behind, they really don't want to move, and they're mentally not prepared to move, so they need more time to get out of the property or to deal with it. So if they're coming up with a foreclosure sale or a tax sale, we propose a joint venture where we put the property in an LLC and we become their partners. Now they basically have 3 to 6 months to buy us out. This is not a loan, they're not making us payments. It's a joint venture. It's negotiated with each property owner one-on-one. They have an attorney, we have an attorney. We get down and we strike this equity share deal, and then we abide by it. They have to abide by certain things, we have to abide by it. Most of the time, the people have to sell the property and then they walk away with their part of the equity share. We walk away with ours. Once in a while, they're able to buy us out, and that's great. Whichever one works for both of us. So sometimes they buy us out for however they needed more time. They got a refi, they got the friend or relative to go on title to get the refi or come up with the cash. And we like helping people in those 3 different ways. I'm sure there's other ways. Obviously, there's owner financing, assuming mortgages. All of these should be tools in your toolbox when you're trying to put together investment real estate opportunities. The last thing I want to talk about when working with distress is you must do your due diligence. I was looking at a file earlier before I started recording today, and there is a lady that's going to lose a brick 3-flat gray stone on the west side of Chicago, and she wanted $25,000 to walk away, right? And on the surface, she probably owes $25,000 in taxes. She wanted $25,000. And some real estate investors might just do that. They'll give her the $25,000. They will pay the taxes for $25,000 and closing costs. And now they, hopefully will make a profit. The way I looked at it, the property was a complete gut rehab, 3 stories. You're going to have to spend about $150,000 minimum. You're going to have to get permits from the city, pay the taxes. So really it was converting all the risk from her to us, and I decided to pass. I did offer her the joint venture because with the joint venture, she wouldn't get paid till all the problems were solved. And the problems were these 3 things. Obviously the property taxes, dealing with the city. There was a city lien on there, which possibly could be a demolition lien, which means that in order to transfer title and get title insurance in the future, you would have to go in front of a judge or administrator judge in the city of Chicago and get their permission to sell it. And if I wanted to buy it, I would have to buy it with that problem associated with it, which means I'd have to hire an attorney to go down and deal with the city. And the city overall is pretty workable on these things, but it just takes time and added layers. So it was the taxes, it was that, dealing with the city lien that was on there, and then also there was an old mortgage, which she said had been paid, but there was no release deed recorded. Now, we found the name of the mortgage company on the public records, right? The deed that was recorded, they were down in Texas, and we could call them, But she has 2 weeks to do all of this before she loses it and the tax buyer gets it. Well, the beauty for the tax buyers are they won't have to deal with any of that stuff, right? The city lien will still be on there, but the taxes will be paid because they've already paid them. And the mortgage lien for the company in Texas will just get wiped out. So for those three reasons, I did not want to just buy a property low so I could turn around and sell it and have to deal with those problems. And that's what I call the golden rules, or part of the golden rules of investing, right? When you have the gold, you make the rules. And you don't have to take on unnecessary risk. So when dealing with distressed properties, if you follow these basic guidelines, it will serve you well. If you can find these deals and you need access to our capital, you should get in contact with us. We'd love to work with you in the future. If you want to share this with somebody that can use this information or our resources, please forward it to the person that may be able to benefit from this. Until next time, have a great day.